talking is probably the value of the race. Dunbar Road has a pretty negative trainer stat that Carson pointed out on Twitter. He's 16% with these types coming back. Even money is probably an underlay in this spot.
Just keep rolling. We're audio's good. Roll.
Oh, you want me to just keep going?
Yes.
Okay. They're coming in to the gate right now. Wasn't supposed to be on this part of the podcast / live stream, but I am back after my internet shit the bed this morning. Glad that Marshall could have me back to do this little audio test. Good?
Okay.
I will now remute myself. No?
Brian Leckie just said there's the sound. So he hears it.
Yeah, and I mean I heard.
Yep.
Attaboy Leckie for being our savior for the live stream. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're
Nikki,
good.
Did you see the divisions that we drew this morning and what division you're in now for next season?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Are you at all worried about that division?
No, did you see my message to Sean?
No.
Oh, it's kind of like the Teletubby "you're gonna lose" kind of thing.
Oh,
so
the thing you think that you sent me last night that I was just completely devastated by?
I was laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. I when you are messaging someone and you just can't stop laughing. That's what I was doing.
Of course.
I couldn't stop laughing.
They're in the gate. That's too funny.
They are in the gate. All right. Finally, we get the audio situation all solved. Host fail is solved as well, hopefully. Everyone welcome. We have Nikki Sam from the Daily Gallop contest. She is also known as Miss Winks. Nikki Sam, welcome. We also have Benny South Street, your Trip Notes handicapper, ready to give you hopefully some good notes, some good trip notes. And hopefully we can help you figure out this tough sequence moving forward. I know that the race just went off. They're going to the first turn, and the number 1 went straight out to the lead, which...
No, that's the 7.
Oh, that is the 7. Okay, cool. I was going to say, I was like, the number 1. I was like...
Yeah, that's Flower Party in front.
Wow. That was also not what I was expecting, but... what did you guys, Nikki, what did you think of this race?
Well, I was trying to beat Dunbar Road for sure. I think she does better at a longer distance, so that's why I decided just to choose She's a Jolie and Vault over Dunbar Road. I think she just does better at a longer distance.
Come on, Mama. Come on, Vault. Okay, let's see if this idiot has a left hand. Come on, Mama. Hanging a little bit, right hand. Now he's gonna switch. Yeah, like an idiot.
Oh wait, there.
Another pinhead, a little bit too late.
Yep, Dunbar Road.
Yeah, I got this for anybody that bet on Dunbar Road.
I can't bet on Chad Brown. That's a good shirt. I like that shirt.
Yeah, you should see the back of it. It's X-rated, so it's R-rated, so I won't show it.
So Dunbar Road easily pulls that off. Looked like Vault was coming late, but looked like Dunbar Road just got the jump on Vault there. What was it? 4-6-2?
No, I think it was 4-2 actually.
Yeah, I think Vault was third.
Oh, okay, sure.
She ran good though. She was so far back. That was bizarre.
Well, and I think that was the hard part there was the fact that she was so far back, and trying to get the jump on someone like Dunbar Road, trying to outfinish her is going to be pretty hard to do in the end. All right, now that
Good for Chad Brown. It's good to see him finally get a win. It'll be nice to see him in the winner's circle. He never wins anything.
I know. I mean, my gosh, you never see him in there. I mean, he he didn't win earlier today too. So I mean,
Good for
geez,
him.
there you go. There you go. All right, as we turn the page from the late pick 5, hopefully you guys had Dunbar Road. What Dunbar Road went off at 3-2-5, and She's a Julie didn't seem to break at all, and just was an absolute no show there. That was I too was on. I like She's a Julie for just from a pace standpoint, but with the clearly that did not happen whatsoever. Moving forward, we're moving to race 8, which is a mile on the turf. We're looking at fillies, 3-year-olds in the Tepin. Nikki, what is your first thought and just overall general thought in this race?
Well, I chose the 2 and the 3 here. I just thought that Abscon should be on or close to the pace. Sharing obviously is the class of all of these horses in the field, but it's a tough field, and I really don't like betting or emotion off the layoff, so I stuck with the 2 and the 3.
Benny, what are your thoughts on the 2 Abscond?
Well, she's a pro. It's just going to be interesting to see these horses that, they haven't been running all that often. It's tough to handicap when you don't have any recency, and that's what's been going on with horse racing around the country right now. So, got to put a premium and give extra credit to the trainers that are good at winning off of a layoff. That's one of the reasons why I landed on the 4. I think Cox is he's good everywhere, and I've got some amazing numbers on Dominga, so that's where I landed. But to me, it's almost like you got to handicap the trainers nowadays for the next 6 weeks than handicap the horses. But
Well, and I do agree that I think it's very hard to judge trainer intent right now, given the fact that there are so few tracks running still, and there's a lot of trainers that were pointing for big seasons for a lot of these horses, and there's just nowhere to put them because of that. So it's been fairly interesting to see, um, some of the horses coming back in these spots for sure. Even looking at the last race, Dunbar Road, who's a Grade 1 winner, is in a listed stake because there's just no other race for fillies, and Chad needed to start somewhere. Um, Moving on from the number 2, we go to number 3, Walk in Marrakesh. Nikki, what are your thoughts on the number 3?
Well, I know I didn't really initially pick Walk in Marrakesh because I didn't want to play against Ohms, but one of my friends this morning said, no, you have to take a look. The workouts have been going really well, and it's just been firing on all cylinders, and this horse is ready to go. So I was like, yeah, I think, with the workouts and how the race is going to play out, I think definitely he should be there.
Benny, your thoughts on Walk in Marrakesh with Jose Ortiz aboard?
I so want to agree with Nikki and everything she says because she sounds so sweet, but I disagree. She does have some recency, which I think is big, and she has a big rider upgrade. I'm not a big Bravo fan. He's getting a little long in the tooth, and he's pretty weak. It's a big rider upgrade, but I just have my numbers are weak. They're strong, or rather, they're weak early and they're weak late, and it's going to be a pass for me. Trying to find something positive. This guy, he's a great sneaky turf trainer. So, I mean, I guess that's a positive, but this one's just not for me.
I think too, Walk in Marrakesh is the running style last out, not breaking all that sharply, and being steadied, as the trouble line suggests. If Walk in Marrakesh can stay, I think closer to the lead, for me, I think is a use. But I would definitely agree with Nikki's top pick with Abscond. And also moving on to number 4, Dominga. I really do like Dominga in this race as well, especially looking at the race 2 back, trying to close into a slower pace and just didn't have the pace to to close into. And coming out of that race too, I love Pass the Plate. I think Pass the Plate has an insane late kick, and with some of the pace kind of signed on for this race, I felt like the pace was going to be fairly honest. Nikki, your thoughts on the number 4, Dominga?
I just passed this one. I didn't really think that. I mean, just doesn't have anything you can really put up against with this field. I mean, this is just going to be a tough class field. I mean, go Sapper, you gotta love that. But I don't know. There's nothing really to go against this field.
Now, Benny, you really liked Dominga. You know, were you impressed with that late kick looking two back, or you know, what is it that you really liked about those previous races that you saw?
Well, this is like a numbers play. I mean, she got knocked around early and she was well back. I think the negative is that the rails were at 50 feet in her last race, and typically when the rails are out at fairgrounds, and it does give a lean towards stretch runners. That would be a knock against. But they're just so, everything else to me stacks up very, very well. It looks like there's some speed in here. Brad Cox has another runner in there, which I like. That one could be forward. I expect him to be. I mean, Florent Giroux over the last couple of years has really started to ride aggressively, and I expect him to go out there and cut some fast fractions. You know me, I tend to think they can play games from now and again, and they could be a good team out there. So I'm hoping that the 8 and Giroux blast off, and they're looking to score with this one. So that was another angle.
Interesting. I just wanted to stop the flow. I'm looking at radar here. There is a severe thunderstorm warning to the county north of Louisville. All that rain looks to be moving north and east, though, so it's moving away from the track. We're still seeing a lot of development about a half hour to the south and west of Louisville. Because these storms are actually moving at a pretty decent clip, I think this race will go off without too much precipitation. But please keep in mind that after this race in your pick 4s, to be on the lookout for possible precipitation that could not only change the turf course but change the dirt track as well. So make sure you're paying attention to that. The number 5, Hendy Woods, is scratched, so we're moving to the number 6, In Good Spirits, for Al Stahl. Al Stahl had 2 winners yesterday, so you know, it has been at least firing with some of his horses. Benny, your thoughts in general?
You know, he's decent off the layoff, so that's good. Actually, he's better than decent. He's pretty good. I just felt like this one's had it her own way. You know, she's made the lead, carving out really soft fractions. I don't think it's likely she's going to do the same today. So that would be a strong lean against. As a matter of fact, yeah, most of the speed in here I think looks, I'm not going to say cheap because they've won some decent races, but they've had it easy, and that's something I look for. Is you get that horse that's out in front, they're just jogging and relaxed, and you know, even if I call it like an eyeball duel, even if they're going slow, if they have horses lapped on top of them, it can burn a gas tank. So I think this is one of those horses. Even if they don't go fast, I don't see her clearing, and I would fade.
Nikki, your thoughts on In Good Spirits?
Well, yeah, I think this horse has had a big layoff, so you can't really. I mean, it has been good coming off the layoffs, but I stayed away from it just because just the class of the race. I just don't think that coming off that big of a layoff that you're going to have any say with any of these other horses that have been pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with both of you. The 6 is it feels like cheap speed, and with the amount of speed that's signed on, it feels like it would take a heroic effort for Miguel Mena to pilot this one into the winner's circle. Number 7, Outburst, coming out of the Florida Oaks with Mr. Right Hand himself, Javier Castellano, aboard. Benny South Street, talk to me about Outburst.
Well, you're right. He is right. I'll bet we'll lay odds today if you want to see if he brings out the left hand. I'm gonna say he won't. I would lay odds on that. So something we can pay attention to just for fun. We can have side action if you want. Just go ahead and shoot me a little private message, and we can have some side action.
All right.
But yeah, Albert, I thought her first race in the country was pretty good. It was a little bit of a setup. That race backed up a tiny bit, but if you know anything about the Tampa turf course, that it's hard to close wide there. It's got no bank, right? So most turf courses, most race courses in general have a bank. Like if you were to go to the Indy 500 and watch, they've got that bank to help them with gravity. Tampa is the exact opposite. They've got no bank. It's a very flat turf course. It's one of the reasons why I wrote a note today at the Gulfstream card at our site that pay any price hit the turn at Tampa and blew the turn. It has an effect on horses. So going wide there is very difficult, and she did that very well in her first time in the country. So that was a big positive. The last race, although the fractions, that first fraction might show up as fast, I like to compare that first fraction to the finishing time to get an idea of how actually fast it was, how quick it was. And to me, it actually looks a little bit slow. Finishing time is fast, so I'm kind of calling nonsense on that first fraction. I think the track was just fast that day, and she had an easy trip. So for me, it's a lean against, although she has been completely professional. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if she fired, but it's not. This one is going to be a pass for me as well. I mean, who I like. I like the 4, so everyone else for me is going to be a pass.
Sure. Nikki, are you a fan of the front running outburst?
No, I'm not, and I don't like any horse that really comes out of the Tampa turf course to try to go to Churchill and race on the turf course there. I just don't think that. I don't know. I just stayed away as soon as I saw the Florida Oaks Tampa. Just only raced to Tampa. I'm like, no, not in this field, not with these horses. I don't think that we'll be able to keep up.
Well, and that's always the interesting thing is, the Tampa turf course always feels like it's tilted towards speed. And so I always am leery about taking speed horses coming out of Tampa because they don't always show that same speed away from Tampa, and they really just don't have that finishing kick either. Moving on to the number 8, Jezebel's Kitten. Nikki, are your thoughts on this Florent Giroux piloted filly?
Yeah, well, I mean, you see Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. I mean, anytime those two team up, you have to take a look. I almost wanted to use her. I really like how she's, her last race. I thought that she just had a bad trip, but I think that she's headed in the right direction now, and now I think Florent will keep her in the game better than her last jockey. I just think her last trip wasn't that well, so I think she's going to be really game in here.
Benny, your thoughts on the other Frenchman, Florent Giroux?
Yeah, he's going to blast off. Yeah, he's gonna try and take this thing to the front. I agree with Nikki. He's gonna try and keep this one a little bit more forward. I'm hoping carve out some fast fractions and set it up for the other one. She was a real pro when she was 2. Those are 2 lights out races. The Kentucky Downs surface was a very speed favoring surface this summer, and coming from where she did, 7 back and just blowing past that field at the same distance at a mile, it's an interesting course. It's up a hill, it's down a hill. You got to be fit to run that course. It's an impressive run. She's been a disappointment since, so she's going to need a reversal of form. But I do believe strongly that she's going to get a completely different kind of ride, hence landing on Domingue.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the number 9, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf winner, sharing Graham Motion, Manny Franco aboard. Nikki, your immediate thoughts?
Well, my immediate thought was just to pass because, well, she beat me at the Breeders' Cup. I didn't have her, and I got beat by her. But coming off this layoff, like we've seen so many Breeders' Cup horses that have coming off, and they're just not what they were last year. So that I just really hesitated because it was like, she hasn't raced since the Breeders' Cup. We've already seen the horses that came out of the Breeders' Cup aren't racing how they should be. They're not living up to their form. I think she's the class in the race for sure, but I don't know. I think she needs to get a couple more works in before the stakes win.
Benny, your thoughts?
These horses like this, that she's a champion. So what do they care about this race? I mean, I don't know. You talk to the connections. I mean, she's super talented, and she has there's no reason to knock her at all. I mean, it's kind of like, is she fit or is she not fit? Are they trying to win? Are they not? And we don't know. I mean, can she win? Of course, absolutely. But there's no value in playing her. So for me, that's just an automatic toss, just because you don't know. I've seen a lot of horses that blow up that look a lot better than her that are coming out of champion victories. So it'd be a pass for me, but wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and Sharing right now is down 1 tick from the morning line of 3-1. She's sitting second choice at 5-2. Number 10, Past the Plate with the Frenchman Julien Leperoux aboard. Benny, your thoughts on Past the Plate?
Leperoux plus any horse equals Benny not playing.
Elaborate?
I think he's a human anchor.
I think he's a human anchor.
I'm just not a fan of his. I mean, it's one of the angles I look for is Lepa off. She was very sharp as a 2-year-old. Showed a ton of talent. I can't knock her. If she had a different rider, I might get involved, but she doesn't. So for me, it's going to be a pass.
Nikki, your thoughts on Past the Plate?
Not the same as Benny's. See, I'm a Julian.
I have no filter, Nikki. If you haven't figured it out.
No, I'm a huge fan of Julien Leperoux, especially on the turf. I do look at that. I mean, I think that he has been doing racing well at Churchill, and I know another friend of mine that just always bets Julien Leperoux. So, I mean, this horse I don't like, but the jockey I don't have any problems with. I just think that this horse just won't keep up and not be with the rest of them. But I definitely like Julien.
Yeah, Julien is an enigma. There are some times where he will give great rides, and great is in quotes. When he goes to the front, it is a ride that he typically doesn't do, but when he does it is interesting, and usually his horses have finished at that point. But
for the record,
it's hard to watch those when he drops back.
Yeah. Just so we're clear, I used to be a huge fan. I actually thought at one point he was the best front-running rider in the country. He would get to the top and he would sit high and his horses would jog and they were relaxed. They would fire for him, but it doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I think I don't know what it is. I mean, but his riding style's completely changed now. If I were him, I would just be aggressive and try and make the top. He's a phenomenal. He still can be a phenomenal front-running rider, but this one's coming from off the pace. He's going to make me eat my words. I'll probably score at 40-1, and I'll have to.
Currently, Past the Plate is 16-1 right now. It's taking a little bit of money into the money coming in for the 9 and the 14. Although we do have a few scratches, so it could be just a balancing of the odds from there. The number 11, Air of Light, Jose Lascano, who was able to win the nightcap yesterday. Norm Cassie, who's had kind of a rocky start. Benny, your overall thoughts on Air of Light?
That's funny. I thought this one was out, so I completely crossed them off.
You are right. My gosh, I am terrible at this job.
I've got like ADD and I make mistakes all the time in my form, and it really pisses me off because I like start twitching when I make mistakes. So I'm glad that he's scratched.
Nope.
She's scratched.
Yep. No, you're good. Number 12, Moral Reasoning. Benny South Street's boy, Chad Brown.
Yeah. So every Chad Brown runner today will get this. Okay.
I like it. I like it.
I at least he's a price. I mean, usually Chad, he's odds on, and he's got three runners in every race. She's a pro, big jockey upgrade, but a couple of big negatives. Don't like that post, and I just think she's been a little bit out. Cheermeister was a really good one or rather still is at Gulfstream. She won 3 in a row, I believe. 2 of those being stakes, and then she fired a really big shot in a big stake after that 3 in a row streak, and ran a big second against a similar field, maybe even a better field. So that would be the positive. I'm assuming this one's going to get bet down. What's the price on Moral Reasoning right now?
Drifted up 17 to 1.
Wow. Okay. So that's another thing. Dead on the board. It's almost like it's a catch-22 with Chad. He gets hammered, and they're going to fire, and you get no value, or they're dead on the board and they don't fire. So at 17 to 1, she's probably not live. Although there's enough. I'm throwing a couple out there that may make me eat my words. So, but I'll pass. I pass on Chad every time.
All right. Bringing in another guest of ours, we'll get Brian W. Spencer in. Brian, what's going on? Brian, you're connecting to audio. There we go. Brian, what's going on, man?
Hey, not too much. How's it going?
How are you, sir?
In need of a haircut, but other than that, pretty good. Where are you guys at in talking through the tep-in?
So we just got through the number 12 Moral Reasoning. Chad Brown, Joe Rosario, dead on the board at 16 to 1. What are your thoughts overall with Moral Reasoning?
I mean, if you're looking at just purely a numbers perspective, 19 to 1 on the tote right now for Brown and Rosario, that's pretty much the only angle. She, doesn't seem to stack up particularly well and hasn't really taken a step forward either. Her 2-year-old form, a little bit better than what we've seen so far from her here. But I mean, I wouldn't argue with anybody who's trying to take almost 20 to 1 just on the connections, just from the value standpoint, but not for me today.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Chad Brown has won with lesser before, but the form here just looks suspect at best. Moving on to the number 13, Queen of God, 65 to 1 on the board right now. I heard a few people kind of chattering about this horse. Brian, your thoughts overall on Queen of God?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot with this one. I mean, I guess the thing that you can say about her is, you're getting a huge price on a filly who's 4 for 7. So at the very least, she knows how to win. She's been able to find the wire. But I mean, you look at the running line in the Ginger Brew back in early January. She was a 72 to 1 that day, and a couple of horses who she's going to meet again here beat her in that spot. So she's kind of been taking advantage of some softer groups in that optional claiming win, and then obviously won on the poly track at Turfway last time out. It's just it's a tough draw for a filly who looks a little bit overmatched to me, in general here. But I do think she's going to be in line for the right kind of trip. So maybe if she pops a big one, she'll be, maybe underneath, but very far underneath for me.
Benny, your thoughts on Queen of God?
My thoughts on Queen of God are this: Alvarez, bite me, buddy. He just texted me. He said, "Nice glasses." So,
whoa, boy.
I'm just messing around. I mean, it's so frustrating that I have to wear glasses nowadays. It's terrible. I agree with Brian. This one's a little bit overmatched. He's texting me again. I'll never talk anyone off a 70 to 1 shot, but I just don't see if the horse was drawn inside a little bit more, I might be able to make a case for her. But she's drawn outside, and she's got tactical speed in a race where I think they're going to be a little bit in front of her. So she's going to get parked. If you're going to get parked on grass going both turns, you're going to have to be much the best, and I just don't think that she's that. So pass for me.
Nikki, your thoughts on Queen of God?
I agree with Brian with his assessment. I think that she just got, put in a couple races where they weren't really that great. So I'm like, no, I think her odds are showing what type of horse she is, maybe in a different field, but I don't think in the stakes place she doesn't belong here.
All right, and moving on to last but not least, our favorite on the board right now, the number 14 Alms for Mike Stidham with Paco Lopez aboard. Nikki, your thoughts on Alms?
Scaring me because Spencer has him and I don't.
Oh no.
But I don't know. Paco on there, he's gonna ride very aggressively out. Definitely, scared me, but I just passed on him. I just thought that Outstunned was gonna have a better race, and hopefully Paco doesn't make me lose to Spencer.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Benny, your thoughts on the 14 Alms?
Alms is legit. I can't knock Alms at all, but I mean, if you take a look at the post position and then inside to Dominga, who is probably pointed toward this a lot more than Alms is, why would you take this horse and not take the 4? So I keep coming back to Dominga. Yeah, Alms can win, but she's still drawn outside. It's a tough post to overcome. Likely, be running a further distance than everybody else, and not really a whole lot of value there. I mean, I love Paco. He's a dangerous SOB, but he's a phenomenal rider. He's like, there's nothing he can't do. So, yeah, absolutely can win, but 2-to-1's not really for me in a full field like this.
Sure, sure. Brian, who's your best bet in this race right now?
I think Alms is the best horse in here at this point in time. The wide draw is a big issue for me, but I think it was Nikki who mentioned that Paco is aggressive, so that's going to be a little bit of a not such a worry for me here with Alms. But the big thing here is, yeah, if you like Alms, I think that Dominga is the price horse in here. I think Alms is the one to beat, but not for me at 9-5. But I can try to get her in with Dominga, who's still sitting at 18-1. You get her in the frame, then all of a sudden you can play around with the 9-5 on Alms and the 2-1 on Sharing that they're both offering. They're the clear fillies to beat, but yeah, really for me, the race revolves around trying to get Dominga in the frame.
Now, overall, what did you think about the pace signed on for this race? Did you think that there was a lot of it? Do you think it's going to be a hot pace? What are your thoughts overall on the race shape?
This is one of those where I am really not paying too much attention to the pace because it's kind of spaced out pretty equally. I think it's going to be fair. I don't think it's going to be hot. I don't think it's going to be particularly soft. It's probably more likely to be on the soft side than fast. But I think a lot of it's going to depend on what who is it? The stall horse here, the 6 In Good Spirits does, because she was getting pretty good towards the end of her 2-year-old campaign, and she's got some early zip too. But I think it's going to be pretty fair, and I think you're going to want to try to be looking for the winner in that mid pack, spying spot 3-5, 6 lengths off of it.
Yeah, I just saw in the chat. We have Vinny from Real Dynasty Picks was saying that everyone likes the 14, and he really doesn't think that the 14 is all that good. The thing about that last race that I really liked was the fact that the pace seemed, kind of slow. And she was 4 lengths in fourth, and was able to close, and not only close but draw away from 2 horses that I do really like in the 4 Dominga, and the number 10 Pass the Plate, who is my top pick in this race. So for me, I do like Alms in this race, and I have to, and especially from a pace standpoint, where Dominga and Pass the Plate are going to be farther back in comparison to Alms. It'll be interesting too. Brian, have you been watching Churchill over the past few days or the past week?
I have not been watching much at Churchill. I've been focusing on Santa Anita and some other stuff.
Man, all of you Santa Anita homers over here.
Yeah,
Golly.
for me, it's just it's basically what track I'm getting paid to look at for my job. So if that's taking me to Santa Anita, it takes me to Charlestown too a lot.
That's fair. That's fair. Now where do you live, Brian?
I moved out to Las Vegas in October. Was in New Orleans before that.
Oh man, geez, you guys all living in fancy places, and here I am, middle of nowhere, Minnesota. Let's go. We're going into the gate. For the final top picks, mine is number 10, Pass the Plate. Benny South Street's pick was the number 4 Dominga at 20-1. We have Nikki's pick, which was the 2 Abscond, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember things. And Brian W. Spencer's pick in here was
was Alms, but Dominga is the key horse for me.
There we go. All right. So if we can get all of these horses in, man, we're going to get some balloons going on here.
Up a little bit wide and now finds a seat to tuck in as the field races into the clubhouse turn. But up top, it's In Good Spirits to set the pace. Outburst running in second. Walking Marrakesh is third. Sharing not far behind, fourth and on the outside. Alms to her inside runs along in fifth. Eva 4 racing, 6 Abscondis, 7th by another 2. Queen of God runs along in 8th. Isabel's getting his 9th by another 2. Past the plate racing in 10th. Dominguez down inside 11th. More racing reserved at the back of the pack, just ahead of long shot Oxen Power. 24 1 seconds was an opening quarter, and In Good Spirits is cruising along up top with 4 furlongs to go.
Interesting to see the 6 just winging it out on the front with Paco just kind of sitting right off there with or not Paco.
Ready to go. Right in behind horses, 5th and moving with Sharing
now. 7 there.
Abscondis started to wind up with an inside mid. Queen of
Doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of pace, no?
There's your right hand from Javi, by the way.
Oh.
Spirits trying to see it out. Sharing to the attack. Here comes Sharing. Outburst in between. Walking Marrakesh stop.
Oh, she got shut off.
Flattened out. Abscond down the center of the track. Farther back it is Dominga. There's 1 furlong to go.
Come on, Abscond.
Front did Sharing cleared by 2. Abscond runs up into second, trying to run down Sharing. But Sharing holds on to do it.
2 almost there.
Good pick, Nikki. By the way, your guys' feed is behind.
Yeah, and so is mine. Mine is the same as Brian's there. We had 9 to close for third between the 10 and the 6 coming across the line. We almost got there. Benny, what did you notice on the trip for the 4 Dominga?
Just got stopped cold. I mean, she was running fine. I probably don't think she would have gotten there anyway, so it's going to be an overbet trouble line next time out. But she did get stopped cold when she was hitting her best stride.
Yeah, it really just looked like Sharing just had the pace just kind of fall apart, just right in her lap. You know, perfect trip. Nikki, did you notice anything in the running of the race that really caught your eye?
Well, I just seen a lot of good horses that kind of got stuck, that didn't have a good race. So, looking forward, I'll definitely be, walking Marrakesh. I think they had the room, they had the space, definitely have taken off. So I just think that it's just a tough race. A lot of good horses got stuck. So.
Yeah, and it certainly will be interesting to see. We have Andrew said in the chat, Benny's boy Julian got up for third. Yeah, let's go.
Yes. Man, if I only bet to show.
That was my top pick, third place.
That was your top pick?
Yeah, pass the plate.
I didn't realize that. That's a good swing.
Yeah, I really liked the races coming out of it, and she has one crazy kick coming down the lane. It was just a matter of finding a trip and hoping that the pace was going to amount to anything. And interesting to see the favorite, Alms. Whoa, where was that horse in the running? Interesting to see that wasn't really aggressive out of the gate and just absolute no-show. Did you guys see anything on the favorite number 14 Alms?
She was in a perfect spot. I just think she didn't really fire. She was pretty much flat there by the 3/16 pole. You knew she was going one pace at that point. Nikki, was it you who liked Abscond in this one?
Yeah.
That's tough because looking at, they're going basically methodical 24s the entire way, 24, 48, 112, 136. And that horse is, the one who's finishing from far back. Granted, didn't get stopped like Dominga did, but yeah, you're getting 12 to 1 here today and you're missing by that much. And then probably going to be a shorter price next time when you go out off of this kind of trip because you're going to get a good running line. So that's a tough beat. That was a good call though, because that was a tough race shape to overcome for that horse.
And Spencer got out his voodoo doll and absconded at the top of the stretch. Did you notice that? I could see him like he had a little voodoo doll and he was poking it. He was like, "No, anybody but this." He was leaning. He was like, "No, no, 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 no." I remember going to the OTB when I was a kid, and the leaners, I would like get my program and I would make them really sharp. They were like, they were like shivs. Like when you get locked up, if you guys ever been to jail before? No? Okay. Well, you can make a shiv out of paper if you wound it up real tight. And got leaners, I would just like jab people that were leaning.
I feel like you're not telling us the most important part of this story,
which is
all of these things you know about being in jail.
Well, you know, a couple times, couple run-ins, but no big deal. I mean, nothing like no violent or sexual crimes or anything like that. Just basic stuff. You know, running over toilets at Pimlico and things like that.
Running over toilets at Pimlico.
Oh yeah, you guys have never seen the running of the toilets?
Oh yeah,
when they used
on
to let
top of the portas.
Yeah, when they used to let people bring alcohol in, people would throw full beer cans at people running across the toilets. It was insanity.
Well, you know, talk to PTF about that one. I may have started that whole craze.
Oh man. All right, so moving on to race 9. Hopefully y'all are still alive in your picks. Race 9, the $100,000 blame stakes at 1 mile on the dirt. We're gonna start with Brian. What are your thoughts on the number 1 long range toddy?
You know, this is for me the big part of this race is the fact that we're running this 1-turn mile, because you've got a lot of horses who are presumably fast enough to win this race, but they're 2-turn horses, whether they're running a mile and a 16th. And I think that long range Toddy is going to be one of those. It's not that he's particularly overmatched if he brings his best stuff, but it's, he doesn't bring his best stuff all that frequently. That's the one thing for me. And then also I think the 1-turn mile is just not going to play perfectly to his strengths, but from the inside, I suppose there's a chance he gets a cozy kind of pocket trip, maybe sticks around for a piece underneath.
Nikki, long range Toddy last out was on a decently contentious pace. Your thoughts on long range Toddy?
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely be there. I just haven't liked his last couple races. I just think that he's just not firing like he should or he used to. So I think putting him in here, I think that the other horses are definitely gonna run him over. But I mean, he's a good horse. He can get out, but just not here.
Benny, are you a John Court fan on long range Toddy?
John Court plus rail equals loss.
Oh, fair enough. The number 2, Bourbon Resolution, is a scratch. I got that one. Number 3, Global Campaign. Definitely had a great 2019, coming back in 2020 in that allowance optional claimer and wins without too much issue. Your thoughts, Nikki, on the number 3, Global Campaign?
Well, I picked Global Campaign. It was one of the horses that I picked. I just think Global Campaign should be fitter from the last month's win at Gulfstream, and hoping for a nice stocking trip just off the speed. So I think that in here, like he's ready. He's fit. He's ready to go. Definitely my pick.
Benny, Jose Ortiz, Stanley Huff, Global Campaign.
I can't knock him at all. I agree with everything that Nikki said. I think he's a pro. He had a nice little break. I'm not sure why, but he came back strong. Landeros isn't my favorite rider, and this thing got around in a really fast run heat. That race did back up a little bit, and he may have been the benefit of a hot pace, but even on my numbers, he was running better late than he was early. So sometimes they get backed into completely. My numbers don't show that, despite the overall flow of the race. So for me, he's a use.
Brian W. Spencer, your thoughts on Global Campaign?
I think he's the right one here. I loved his comeback race. He's never been beaten around one turn. And when I was kind of talking about the one turn versus two turn horses, this is a guy who can get a mile in a 16th. But his running style, he's tactical early. He shuts off nicely, though. He can really adapt to whatever kind of develops in front of him, and just absolutely built for a one turn mile here. I think he's going to be very, very tough to handle in this spot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with anything y'all are saying, and I think too that this race kind of sets up really nice for him. Being able to sit off the pace, and it just feels like race shape wise, it's going to fall right into him. Ultimately, Brian, your thoughts on the 7-5 price on Global Campaign?
Is it Brian or Ryan? I apologize.
Brian.
I'm sorry.
The price on Global Campaign, 7-5.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, I'm not playing that horse at that point. Then I'm going to be probably looking around for another horse, maybe the 4 Always Mining or the 14 Diamond King. We'll talk about those horses as we go on. 7-5. I think he's the horse to beat. He's the right one in the spot. I think he's the most likely winner, but I'm not touching him with your money at that kind of price.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'll bet his money. I'll bet his money.
It's green, right? That's all that matters. The number 4, Always Mining, Kelly Rubley trains. Your thoughts, Nikki?
I just don't like, just in this race, I don't think that coming off his last race, he weekend came in third. I just don't think that he has enough in the tank to compete, especially not against some of these horses in here. So I think that after seeing his last race, he might need just a break, but I'm not using him.
Benny, your thoughts about Always Mining off the short layoff?
Handicapping this race from a pace standpoint, I don't see a whole lot of heat in here. I think my software is a little flawed. It leans, so when I track Laurel, it leans pretty strongly with late running. But when you just look on paper, this horse is always forward and he's fresh. So from that point of view, this thing might work out a pretty good trip. The negative side is what I was saying earlier is these trainers that it's not in their wheelhouse to win off the break is a negative. I mean, this guy's 1 for 20 off his last. Yeah, he's 5% over his last 20 races, so that's a big negative. But if you want to argue, it's easy to make a case that this horse is going to work out a trip and may come into something pretty soft. So, I mean, I'm like I said, I like Global Campaign, but this one wouldn't surprise me. He's got to be a big number, right? What is he right now?
On the board, I see Always Mining at 23.
Yeah, that's a big number. I'm not going to talk anyone off a 23 to 1 shot that might be able to work out a good trip.
All right, Brian, your thoughts on the number 4, Always Mining?
He's a cool horse, but it's tough for me to see him winning this. On one hand, he's fast enough to win. On the other hand, he's won 9 races. Every single one of them has come at Laurel, which is, he's never repeated his Laurel form outside of Laurel. That being said, though, when he's left Laurel, he's been running in the Grade 1 Preakness, the Grade 3 Indiana Derby. He was 4th in the Easy Goer at Belmont. So, it's not so much that he doesn't take his track with him. It's just that he's better at Laurel than he is anywhere else. And I think this kind of company is a little tough for him, but he's fast enough to land a piece, I suppose.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Nikki and Brian in this case. I'm not a big fan of Always Mining. Manny Franco hasn't seemed to knock the rust off yet either. And we'll be happy to see him return back to New York after this, once New York ends up opening. Sneaky horse for me that I actually do like, number 5, Everfast, Jack Sisterton with Joel Rosario board, 34-1. Brian Spencer, your thoughts?
I don't know, because I thought maybe after the Preakness run last year that maybe he was kind of legit, but he never really backed that up. But Change Barnes went to the operation for that last one and made the comeback run at Oaklawn. And I guess you could point to that race and say, that's your first run off the layoff. Now you're going second off the break, second time out of the Sisterson barn, and you're getting 34-1. So basically what you're counting on is that he has a move forward in him off of that, because that last race essentially equals his lifetime best, more or less. And you basically want to see if he has upside from there. If he does, he's an underneath player at least here at 35-1, and Rosario obviously is a pretty good get for a horse like this.
Nikki, your thoughts on the 5 Everfast?
Well, I think the change of barns is definitely good for him. Putting him in this race, no. Just because of last races that he raced against Code of Honor, Tacitus, Maximum Security, War Will. I mean, he's raced against all top horses and has never even come close to them. Then he switches barns. Now he's starting to progress and get better. But putting him in this race, I just think it's something like throwing something on the wall and hoping it sticks. But I wouldn't have placed him here.
Benny South Street, are you with me or the other two with Everfast?
He's a little bit interesting at that number. Joel tries on days like this, and he's one of the best in the world. So anybody that he sees fit to ride, I'm going to pay attention to. To me, that last race, Brian, you said it was his top. Is that like a Thorograph number? What is that?
Oh, I was just using quick Brisnet numbers on that. I hadn't paid much attention to him.
Because I have that as actually a pretty low level race for him. So I think he can move up. It looks like a good little prep, and that guy's really good. Second time off the bench, so I think interesting at that number.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought, is that he has back numbers, in 2019 that would make him competitive here. I would have liked to have seen him, perform a little better in that N2L allowance. But with that being said, I love his running style in this. If he, all of a sudden he develops speed when he used to just go straight out the back. And I think tripwise that if someone challenges the leaders at any point, I think this could kind of fall into the lap of Everfast. And I know that the distance isn't going to be a problem, and stamina wise, obviously he can go much longer. So I think he's dangerous. He's not. I can't pick him on top, but he is absolutely someone that I'm going to key in my exotics, just because I do project to move forward. And as Benny said, Jack Sisterton, second off the layoff, is dangerous. The number 6, Backyard Heaven, clearly has had injury woes, but on his best day has been really good. Nikki, your thoughts on Backyard Heaven?
Well, this is another one with the change of barn, was in the Chad Brown barn, couldn't really get there to win, then changes over. So I like the change of barn. I think it will be good for him, but could definitely stalk the pace with this crew. But I don't know. I left him off. I didn't use him in any of my tickets.
Benny, your thoughts? Backyard Heaven.
Well, off this layoff, again, two things: the trainer and is this horse fit? He's more than capable, obviously. So we're just got a pretty steady work pattern. I don't see any gaps in his works. I like the fact that he's been working over a synthetic track. A lot of times it's easier to get a horse fit when you're working over that deeper surface. So that's a big positive. One that's certainly interesting. I wonder why he lost this horse, because that's a pretty big client. That would be a negative. I can't piece that one together, but should be able to work out a good trip. And I love Tyler, one of my favorite riders, actually. Which I don't plug. I don't give too many riders positive comments. So I'll do it.
Did you see that the Ramseys are a good client?
They're big. They own some nice horses. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they own good breeding, but I mean, firing trainers because they can't win at Ascot, I wouldn't see them as a good client.
Oh no, just in general, I think they're pulling the strings. If I had a horse that was in Chad's barn and I could send him anywhere, he would be a coveted trainer for me. So I don't think Chad got rid of the horse. I think they may have pulled the trigger on that one, but I'm just
Oh, no,
speculating.
yeah.
I don't really.
That's what I'm saying is the Ramses fire trainers all the time. So
Yeah.
I would.
Okay, so I didn't know that. That's good. That's good info.
Yeah, now you know.
Brian Spencer, your thoughts on the Ken and Sarah Ramsey backyard heaven?
I was just trying to run some numbers on Maker, 90 off the layoff, 180 off the layoff, going, a mile or longer on the dirt, all those kinds of things. And the numbers are fairly consistent. I mean, he's a good layoff trainer. And this is a tricky one because you're 27-1 on a horse who, is a dominant grade 2 winner over the track, was a 4-5 favorite in a grade 1 over the track. Granted, that's 2018, and things haven't really gone very well for him since then. But you get a barn change, maybe that shakes him up a little bit. And 26-1, it's kind of, we were talking about Chad when I was mentioning Chad Brown in the last race. You're gambling on which horse is going to show up, and you don't do that if he's 6-1 like he is on the morning line. You do think about that if he's 26-1 because he's run 3 or 4 races that would win this for sure. You just need the big number to take the guess whether he's running that today.
And that was always the question for me, and I'm glad that Benny talked about the workouts because I had no idea why they decided to run on the poly for the last few months. So I'm glad that you were able to kind of shake that out because that was something that I had no idea about. And it's not uncommon to see Maker train on the poly, especially at Turfway, but I just wasn't sure about those workouts specifically. Moving on to the number 7, the ever consistent 6-year-old gelding Silver Dust. Brian Spencer, your thoughts on Silver Dust?
He's one of those horses that's a fan favorite for me. I'm a big supporter of his. I love the way he was racing at Fairgrounds. A little bit disappointing last time out, but he's the kind of horse that for me. I guess the price is right. You're getting 12-1 right now, which isn't particularly bad on him, considering that he's talented. He's a little bit classy, but I'm not sure about the 1-turn mile for him. I think that the tempo of this race, given the layout of the 1-turn mile, is going to be a little bit sharper than he's used to. And he's going to be, I'm assuming, a little bit further off the pace than he's used to. And I'm not totally sure how he's going to handle that in this, just the way this race figures to flow from the gate to the wire. I think it's not going to flatter him particularly well.
Couldn't agree more. Benny South Street, your thoughts on the number 7, Silver Dust?
I can't really knock him. He may have to come from a little bit out of it, but he's done it before at the Fairgrounds. If you go way back in his PPs, going back to March of last year, he was near last and came flying home. So he does have the ability to pass horses. I thought he got a bad ride last time. He was off a little bit slow. He rushed. He had every reason to quit. This horse wants a target anyway. So I can't knock him. This trainer's good off a layoff. I can't really fault him at all in any aspect. So for me, he would be another use.
The number 7, Silver Dust. Nikki, your thoughts?
I hope he loses. Spencer has him, and I don't. But so I will be cheering for him not to be racing to his farm. But I definitely agree with Benny. Just his last race wasn't, I think it's a toss, but I think he has been training, very well, and he's definitely a threat in here, definitely a threat to me. So, but yeah, I think you can toss his last race and keep using him.
For me, Silver Dust, I feel has just been, one of those horses that A, makes his own trip, which is always a good thing, but B, has benefited from soft trips in general. And pace wise, he has never faced anyone like Mr. Money pace wise, and I just feel like it's going to be something that that will be a decent test for him coming down the stretch in general. The number 8 Owendale morning line favorite, Nikki, your thoughts?
Well, I like that Florent is still on him. I think he raced well whenever he was on him last time. So what are his odds right now?
He's at 4-1.
Okay, so yeah, he's still with his morning line odds. I think that's right in line. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, it's a good team, and he raced really well whenever Florent got on him finally. So he's a threat.
Benny, your thoughts on the morning line favorite number 8, Owendale?
Yeah, he has every reason where he could win, but this one's not for me. I tend to, it's a bias. I admit it's my own cross, and sometimes I fall down carrying it. But I have a hard time betting horses that I know are going to be so far back. And shortening up, this one has very little speed. Running 2 turns, and this 1-turn race is going to be run fast early, and he's going to need some help up front. I don't know if he's going to get it or not. If he does, he could be dangerous, but it would be a fade for me. If I was going to use it all, I would probably play vertically underneath because I do think he'll fire. I'm not so sure that there.
Ryan Spencer, your thoughts, Owendale?
This for me, he's the best horse in this field, but I don't like him very much at all today is the problem because okay, this is a stakes race, but if you showed me this race and it was a super conditioned allowance and we walked through it and we said who was this race written for with the Stephen Foster coming up next month, it would be for a horse like Owendale. This race should be nothing but a stepping stone for him. That's not to say he can't win because he's fast enough to win. He's classy enough to win, but he's going to be coming from probably too far out of it at this sharper 1-turn mile trip. And, with the Stephen Foster looming, about 5 weeks from today, I would not expect that this is going to be, guns blazing, ready to roll off the bench here. This is a means to an end, and that end is next month.
All right, the number 9, Extraordinary Jerry for Dermot Magner. Just switched barns from Todd Pletcher. Brian Spencer, your thoughts?
I mean, that last race is, it kind of came out of nowhere. The source has been fairly consistent, but it's, I've been kind of talking about a handful of these horses who presumably own races fast enough to win. And that's kind of the first thing I'm looking for. Extraordinary Jerry, his last race, if he were to somehow repeat it off of a very lengthy layoff over a new surface in a new barn, he's in the mix. But 12-1 to answer all those questions for me? Absolutely not, because anything that he's ever run besides that last race is going to leave him coming up very short with this group.
I completely agree. Nikki, your thoughts?
No, I tossed him in here just because he hasn't raced since September. It's a new barn. Definitely one to watch, see how he races. And, I think it's going to be a good stepping stone for him as well. But, to get back into it, I just think these other horses in here are more fit, more ready to go, coming back off the layoff and back off, leaving a different barn. I wouldn't put him in here.
Benny, did you toss Extraordinary Jerry?
Yeah, it's so funny. So I actually, I don't like his last race, but I like the previous race, so, which is funny. So the run up at Gulfstream's 5 feet, if you ever see sub 45, that is like, you have 0 chance to win that race. And he was next to last. So that to me was like it's a counterfeit race. It was a restricted race. So that wasn't the good race. The good one for me is the race before, that 2-turn race at Saratoga. It was only a non-winner one, but it's legit on my numbers. So I'm not a hobby fan, as you know, but I think if he runs to that 1-2 back, he's eligible.
Benny, do your numbers incorporate race shape?
They do.
Okay, because otherwise we were gonna have a whole tangent about how on earth that 2-back race can come back faster in any way than the last race on any number. But no, race shape wise, obviously it was a dream setup for him.
Yeah,
so, okay.
They do. I had his last race as a total meltdown. I actually had him running slow late, but it was such a meltdown that he just jogged.
Just checking for my own edification.
Just so you know, I'm looking at HTR, which is a software developed by Ken Massa, and I'm looking at, they give it, without going down the rabbit hole too far, it's all, EP, late quarter, last half kind of stuff, LP and SP.
Okay.
rumor has it, and I've been watching radar intently. Light rain is beginning to start, and there's actually a cell that just developed over the top of Churchill, which will probably bring a pretty steady rain here within the next few minutes. Does that change how you handicap this race at all, Brian Spencer?
This close to post time, not really. I mean, unless something absolutely wild happens in the next 5 minutes, the track is not going to change in a significant enough way for me to take a second look at anything.
Nikki, do you tend to agree with that, or does your pick change based on that?
No, not this close. I mean, I think unless it was like coming down like in trenches and but if it's light rain coming through, no.
And Benny, do you tend to pivot quickly when it comes to that or not?
I'm Captain Obvious with my two partners here. Same thing.
Well, it helps when you have a personal meteorologist too. I tell you what.
True.
With the last 4 horses, we got 2 minutes to post. Snapper Sinclair, the 10, the 12, and Deep Closer, Discreet Lover. Number 13, the Speedy Mr. Money, and number 14, Diamond King. Brian Spencer, you had mentioned about Diamond King earlier. Tell us your case for him.
Just the way, this whole race has for me been built around race shape and the configuration of the trip. And Diamond King is a horse whose style suits this. He's fast enough. The wide draw means 0 to me with that very long run into the turn. Of those 4 horses on the outside, he's a 6-1, probably a touch short for my liking, but I actually like him better than Mr. Money, who's 7-2. I think Diamond King's a legitimate win contender, and Kendrick's going to be able to get him into a good spot.
Yeah, from every note that I've seen as far as what people had thought about that last race for Mr. Money, pretty much everybody and their brother and sister had said that looked like a prep and was basically a means to an end. Brett Calhoun just needed a race, and that was where they ended up. Mr. Money is my top pick, although Diamond King is legitimately scary, and also the number 3 global campaign. Nikki Sam, who is your top pick here?
My top pick is the 3 and the 13. Mr. Money loves Churchill, so I picked the 3 and the 13.
Benny, your top pick.
So I don't do this very often. I do it to my mom every now and again when she asks me to make a pick and I don't give her one. Like, I have no opinion. I don't like this race at all. If you put a gun to my head, I would probably take Diamond King as well. I think Carmouche's aggressive nature will leave him in a position to control the field, at the very least from a stalking standpoint, but could very easily make the top. And he's classy enough, and this suits him. This one turn suits him well. And I agree with Brian. Shouldn't make any bit of difference that outside draw.
Looking at the storm and the live feed, it is pouring down rain right now. The meteorologist guessed correctly. It tends to happen sometimes.
Always a guess.
Say that again?
It is always a guess.
Well, hey, meteorology is just like handicapping. Sometimes you win some, a lot of the time you lose some. The good thing is fighting with people this morning on Twitter about if it was going to rain or not. I have won that battle. Just so everyone who is on the stream knows, when you look at that app on your cell phone and it tells you it's going to be a perfectly sunny day, and every meteorology outlet says it's probably going to rain, probably shouldn't trust that app of yours. They're loading into the gate. Looks like we got one more to come in. This downpour actually should be pretty quick-lived. Thankfully, the real rain and thunderstorms, and actually it looks like there's some hail involved too, is about 40 minutes out. So that could get a little hairy for the last race, but overall, we should only hopefully get through this quick little blast and only stick that light rain. Which, by how dusty the track looks, it looks like it definitely could need it. They're out of the gate, and the 6 Backyard Heaven goes straight to the lead. Mr. Money on the outside. Man, it is coming down pretty decent. We have Silver Dust sitting in the pocket, perfect. Where do your guys' horses, Nikki? Where is your 3? Is farther back than I expected. Yeah. What are your thoughts there?
But I think he's probably like 5th back, but I think he's gonna come out of it now. I see his there he comes. 13 is coming.
Yeah, we had a decent enough pace. 45 and 3 for the half, so that's that isn't slow by any means. Benny, your thoughts overall so far?
No, I'll tell you in about 30 seconds.
Ever fast in the hunt.
Yeah.
Looks like a meltdown. Someone's coming here. The 8.
Owendale after all this.
Everfast is splitting horses, but
On the button.
Oof.
Right over the button.
oh wow.
Wow. Yep.
Did he end up going favored or no? Did the 4 end up going favored?
No, the 4.
The 3 or whoever that was inside Global Campaign.
Oof, probably worst race of his life.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, Everfast, why do you got to do that to me? Oh, dang it.
Did you bet this race?
Yeah. Yeah, I had the 5.
Darkness.
Yeah,
The
20.
clouds at Churchill Downs have just made their way to your house.
Well, I got clouds out here too. Don't you worry about that. Oh man, Owendale gets absolute perfect trip with a pretty decent pace ahead of him. Everfast splitting horses. Silver Dust was able to hang on there, but wow, that was an interesting race. Brian Spencer, your thoughts immediately on that race?
You know, it's God, it's humbling. I mean, my entire plan of attack for this race is separating the real 1-turn mile type horses and the legitimate 2-turn horses, and the real 2-turn horses run 1, 2, 3. Owendale's Silver Dust and Everfast. Those are horses who I figured would be too late. Got a decent set of splits, but nothing too wild. I mean, you're going to see 109 and changes going a mile here, occasionally, but Owendale just a classy horse, and I think he got the right kind of setup today. But that's just one of those where my entire approach to the race backfired pretty big.
And same here. I thought I thought the pace was going to be decent enough, and I was hoping that Mr. Money could find some of that back form, and I was hoping to get Everfast in the number 2, but I hit the long shot, but not the top pick. Nikki, Sam, your thoughts on the 3 Global Campaign?
Disappointed. I was like, where was he? He just never fired, just never got in it. Mr. Money started going, but just couldn't get there with the rest of them. I was disappointed in the 3.
Benny, overall, your thoughts on the pace and the race shape there?
I'll have to watch it again, but it seemed like a meltdown. Horse came over the top. I'm not sure where Everfast was, but I know he wasn't. In the top 2. And actually, the 5 and the 7 I thought had a legitimate outside swing, and they fired. But I didn't like Owendale. I'll have to watch the replay. I mean, I think Nicky's horse got stopped. So we'll have to see. I think there are probably plenty of those in there that if you're near this pace and you're getting stopped in behind, I think you get a pass. So I'll have to peek back and
Yeah, there was a lot going on in the turn at certain points, and that's when Global Campaign, I thought, might have been trying to wind up, but I don't know. But I mean, by the time they hit the top of the stretch, he was completely flat. So I got to see.
Yeah, he was kind of in behind and was pausing for quite a while, is what it looked like to me. So we'll have to see. I'm not so sure. I don't know how close he was to this pace either. But
he was further back than I expected. He was probably about 6 or 7 behind after a quarter mile.
Okay.
Yeah, he was mid-pack.
What's the run-up of the 1-turn mile at Churchill? Does anybody know?
I do not off the top of my head.
Like, I know the 6 furlong race is 180 feet, and all those races are counterfeit, that early fraction.
Yep.
I just don't know what it is for a mile.
Yeah.
Plus, they make that kind of left-hand turn.
Yeah, and that's kind of the weird configuration too with Churchill's coming out of the chute. They do have it's a slight. Oh boy. Easy Florent Giroux almost got hung up in the stirrup there, and
Dismounting,
yeah, he almost went ass over tea kettle there. That would have been kind of interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know what the run up is for this race.
Did anybody has anybody run a one? Okay, so if I go to Everfast on May 4th, I'll find it. That would be I'd be interested to know that. I should know that. Yeah, it's 34 feet. So they're basically at a standstill when they trip the wire. And with a left-hand turn, that's a very fast run early race.
Yeah,
So I think it'll show up as a meltdown.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see when Timeform comes back in, when Racing Flow comes back with their numbers on this. Looks like we're going to get another quick little downpour in about the next minute or two, and then it looks like we should have maybe a slight gap, but the weather definitely is tenuous with all of the showers and cells kind of in the area. Dennis Trusty, your apology is accepted, and I accept it for Brian Leckie as well for ever doubting Everfast. All right. Brian W. Spencer, do you have time for one more, or are you out?
I got to take off and go focus on the late part of the Santa Anita card.
There we go.
You're such a fun sucker.
Hey, well, this was fun. As you know, you guys are like the first people I've spoken to face besides my husband in 2.5 months. So this has been a delight. So thanks for having me, and hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate it, and certainly hope you have fun, no doubt.
All right, good luck the rest of the way, guys.
Thank you. Good luck at Santa Anita. All right, moving forward, we are on to race 10.
Can we like take a break and like tell a joke or something so I can use the restroom, or how does this work?
Oh, you just get up and walk away.
Okay. So I want to see some. I want to hear some joke material when I get back.
I got nothing on jokes, but I mean, joking the joke makers over there. Oh, geez, there you go. Race number 10. We have the Matt Wynn Grade 3 Kentucky Derby Prep race. Coming into this race, we have the favorite, the number 10, Maxfield. Nikki, what are your thoughts about Maxfield and coming off of the Breeders' Futurity layoff?
I swerved him. I just think due to the long layoff and the cramped odds, I just didn't think at this price he was worth it. So I stayed off of him.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is Brendan Walsh is decently good with layoffs with dirt males, 3 for 9, 33%. But that ROI is bad with $1.48 ROI. So I know for me, I used him defensively, but it was tough for me to really key on top.
I mean, yeah, you can't come off your ticket, but yeah, at these odds, like no, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the layoff is just it's super sketchy. Benny, your thoughts on the joke you're gonna tell?
I mean, how uncouth do you want me to be?
You do what Benny does best, which is audible.
Let's go. We're gonna audible.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's do it. So a guy walks into a bar. That's usually my line.
I like it.
So a guy walks into a bar and he's drinking and he has too much to drink, and sure enough, he throws up all over himself. Right? Oh no, what am I gonna do? My wife's gonna kill me when I get home. This is terrible. So the bartender says, no, that's no problem. This is what you do. You tuck a $20 bill into your shirt pocket. When you get home, you say, oh no, honey, the guy next to me threw up on me and he gave me $20 to clean my shirt. And he says, oh, that's a great idea. The guy goes home. He walks in the door and his wife looks at him and goes, you're such a loser. You're drunk again. Look at you. You puked all over yourself. She's like, I'm leaving. I can't take it anymore. And he says, oh, no, honey, that wasn't me. It was the guy next to me. Look, he gave me $20 to clean my shirt. And he pulls out the $20 bill and she says, hey, that's not $20. That's $40. And he says, oh, yeah, you shit in my pants, too. So,
Oh man.
okay, I'm sorry. 4-letter word, totally uncouth. Poor Nikki. I'm so sorry, Nikki. You're so
Oh,
sweet.
yeah. I grew up at the racetrack, so I'm used to it.
Okay, all right. I
Oh,
thought that was a funny.
I like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But I actually should be apologizing to Spencer. I can see him shaking his head. The poor guy's like, what am I doing?
Spencer lives for this stuff. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I'll come off mute for 1 second. I mean, if there's not at least 2 Benny audibles, we can't monetize the stream.
Yeah,
So we need one more.
yeah. I mean, we can audible whenever you want. I mean, it's far it's far more entertaining than listening to us talk about horses making left turns, right? Although they did make a right-hand turn there for a little while. So
sometimes it gets a little wonky, no doubt. The favorite morning line favorite, number 10, Maxfield. What were your overall thoughts, Benny, on this long layoff since October?
well, he's so much better than these horses. It's scary. Originally I was like, well, the post, the outside draw. What does he care about this race? He's going to be looking to run a few months down the line. This isn't his goal, so why is he going to be cranked? But then I started looking through, and he's got a 59-1 breezing from the gate. So to me, that's the key to this whole race. Is this thing ready? And there's no way they're going to run up the score in a workout prior to this race unless this horse is just doing amazing. So sadly, I hate betting favorites. If you want to go to the racetrack and if you hate money, bet favorites. That's the name of the game. You have to beat favorites. And so I really wanted to play against this one. I think he's going to fire. And so I'm going to stay away from this race and watch curiously, but I think he's going to win.
Current odds are 3-5 on the number 10 Maxfield. We'll go through the runners and then we'll kind of talk in general here. The number 1, Mystic Guide, scratched. The number 2, Pneumatic, coming back for Steve Asmussen. Won that nice optional claiming 80. Was able to sit off of kind of a slow pace and was able to draw away at the end. Nikki, what are your thoughts on the number 2, Pneumatic?
Pneumatic is a horse that I chose. I think Pneumatic has been ultra impressive in both of his victories, and with this added distance, he looks ideal. So I have him in there.
Benny, what were your thoughts on the pace numbers for that last race for Pneumatic?
I've got Pneumatic strongest or second strongest in the last quarter, and overall third strongest behind Maxfield, and actually number 9, Shake Some Action. But Shake Some Action's numbers are a little bit counterfeit because he's just so far back, and this one wasn't. Pneumatic was a little bit keyed up last time, and the fact that he was able to run through that trip and still post some strong late numbers, it's impressive to me. If I were going to take a stand against Maxfield, I would side with Nikki and take Pneumatic.
Yeah, and I agree that the second most logical winner is Pneumatic. His taking money too is at 3-1 off of the 4-1 morning line. Yeah, I mean, you get Steve Asmussen, who is chasing Dale Romans for having the most wins at Churchill, and you get his go-to rider with Ricardo Santana. This horse was ultra impressive in that last, and I think that if Maxfield is not prepared, Pneumatic is absolutely the next logical and is my top pick personally. I just wanted to say, Claudia Neal commented, Benny, saying, Benny, yes to the number 10 in race 8 at Gulfstream, the number 7 on race 9, and she's looking at the number 1 in race 10. Thanks for your notes and helping novice me. Benny, do you want to talk a little bit about your trip notes and give yourself a little plug here?
I can. Yeah, so those that follow me on Twitter know I post a lot of anecdotal jokes about riders and what have you, but this has been a labor of love of mine. I spent a lot of time making trips. So had over 100 people on a list that were asking me, hey, can I buy your information? And it was always a no, because I did have a couple of big clients that I didn't want to, I didn't want to share that information and hurt them per se. But I kind of just decided, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I've got a lot of people, and as the following's gotten a little bit better and with social media and what have you, I just said, screw it, I'm going to do it. So got me in a couple partners. One other guy, phenomenal player, one of the best tournament players in the country, I believe, helping me to write trips. And we've got a website called tripnotepros.com, and we're actually writing trips for every course at every major track for every day. So the last week has been hard. I'm writing trips for like 16 hours a day, getting up early, going to bed super late, trying to find a way to make things a little bit more seamless and easier for us to do, because we're taking on more and more. But come the beginning of June, we're gonna have a hard launch product. It's gonna be awesome. Gonna be all kinds of clickable kind of things that you can do in there to interact with the trip notes, as well as other people within the horse racing community. It's not going to be a normal product. I think watching trips is kind of like one of the last elements in horse racing from a handicapping and a value point of view. There's just so much data out there. I mean, like, I'm looking at my software, and the variants are just so tight. I mean, you can tell how fast a horse is running to the 100th of a second in any quadrant of a race. And there's just no real edge there. So you've got to kind of try and combine that science and art, and the artistic side of handicapping, to me, is the most intellectual. That's what's the most fascinating. I love it. So, I just decided to push all my chips in on this, and the response has been awesome. We've had tons of, actually shocking. Like, I had no idea what to expect, if 20 people were going to sign up, or if hundreds and thousands, or if even thousands of people would sign up. And it looks like it's going to be what I was hoping for, which is a very solid following. And yeah, it's been good. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's been fun. And I think it's going to be fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Benny. Appreciate it. Moving on to the next horse in the race is the number 3 Informative for Uriah St. Louis. Last time we saw him was in the Gotham. Your thoughts on Informative, Benny?
Yeah, he's not particularly for me, mostly because one of the things I was talking about earlier were the trainers and the conditioners, and this one, when you see 2 for 32 off the layoff, it's an immediate red flag. There's only one race in the PPs that goes 2 turns. That race, they did come home strong, but this one backed up, and they gave him a little break. He was a bomb going into that race. I don't think this is too far off from that one in terms of a class standpoint. So it's a similar kind of race, and he looks a little bit overmatched. So for me, it's a pass.
Nikki, your thoughts on the John Bissono riding Informative?
Yeah, I think he's just overmatched in this race. I didn't even put him on any of my tickets or give him really much thought. I just think that he's outclassed here.
I tend to agree with both of you there. The number 4 Celtic Striker has been a speedy type, going shorter for Raymond Handel. Nikki, your thoughts on Celtic Striker?
Well, I like that he's getting Manny Franco here. Yeah, his last race wasn't impressive at all, especially the horses that he raced against. I didn't use him here either, but yeah, I mean, getting Manny Franco should help him.
Benny, your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I'm gonna cry right now, because I'm trying to win another Breeders' Cup seat, and I didn't put my pick in my horse one. So, who are we looking at? Sorry for that.
Oh my gosh, Benny!
I did it again. I did this last week.
What are you doing?
I entered a contest for $1,100, and I didn't even put my pick in because I love you guys.
Oh,
what am I gonna do? I'm here with you guys, so that's. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Who cares? It's only money. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to change my life.
Oh man.
My phone is blowing up. I think everyone's yelling at me like, "Put in your picks, you jackass."
I love it. Number 4, Celtic striker for Raymond Handel.
These fractions at parks are usually inflated. So, or at least from a software point of view, that my numbers always come up inflated. So there are a few tracks that, I take that into account, and the number wasn't even that good with the Parks race, which was the only 2-turn race in the PPs, and because they're weak, it'll be another pass.
All right, and yeah, I mean, other than being a pace presence here, it's a hard pass for me as well. The number 5, Flapjack for Jack Sisterton. Last race, Jack Sisterton almost pulled it off at 28-1. We get the Banjo, Rafael Bejarano. This horse is currently at 70-1.
200,000 to 1.
Close. 70-1. Nikki Sam, your thoughts on Flapjack?
I think he's 70-1. I just didn't think in this spot, but you never know. I mean, it happens. So he could surprise, but I think he's where his odds should be.
Benny, in the Oaklawn Stakes, we saw a pretty hot pace in that race, where Flapjack was sitting 2.5 lengths off of it in third. Do you give him any credence to whatsoever in this race because of that? Even though he finished way out the back, or are you just tossing?
That race is actually pretty good for me. And then if you can dismiss that sloppy effort try, which is hard for me to do just because he's well bred to do it. I follow the time. I'm not a big. That's not breeding is not my strong point. So I look at I try and focus on things that I do well, and those being my numbers and my software, and also the trips. Breeding's not a strong point, so I kind of lean on the Tomlinsons a little bit. That thing has a huge Tomlinson, so shouldn't have really disdained that course as much as he did, but he could have bounced. I actually have that race, albeit a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct, is pretty strong. My software makes him about 6 or 7-1 in that race. It wasn't terrible. If he can move forward off of that race, he might find his way into something that could make someone a big score. So I wouldn't talk anybody off of him.
I tend to agree with that. I do like Flapjack underneath. Certainly given the price. I've certainly seen a lot worse 68-1 shots.
Yeah.
And given the complete meltdown in the last race, if he can build off the Gotham at all, it definitely puts him in the mix. Although I don't see him as a win contender, but I do think he's someone that can spice up the exotics. My top pick, the number 6, New York Traffic, Saffie Joseph Jr., Paco Lopez, gonna be on the engine right away in that last race. It kind of felt merry-go-round-ish, but was on a hot pace, and was able to still hang on for second. Didn't necessarily have to, and I think in a race that has a little bit more of a favorable pace setup. I do think that New York Traffic is interesting, and we certainly know that Paco is going to be absolutely shoving this horse out of the gate. Benny, your thoughts on the number 6 New York Traffic?
Well, initially this would have been a total fade for me, but I like to track hot and cold trainers. I think it's important. I won't get into my speculation on why they get hot or cold because it's not important. But Saffie was not doing well when this horse ran his last 2 races, and he's since heated up. So I do think this one's going to move forward. I think the price will be right. I'm with you. I would make this one of my top 2 selections, just based on the fact that Saffie hadn't been firing at all, and I think this horse ran through what was then a cold trainer, and he's not now. He's firing. So I like this one a little bit.
Nikki Sam, your thoughts on the pace presence of New York Traffic?
Yeah, I have New York Traffic in here as one of my top picks as well. So I had the 6 and the 2. I think that he's definitely Paco's going to send him. So he's going to probably go up with Celtic Striker to take the lead and just keep going. And I think he has solid form. So I definitely have him in here as I have the 6 and the 2.
All right, all three of us on New York Traffic. Boy, that's a lot of weight for Paco to carry on our backs.
Yeah, and it's COVID weight. So like if it's sitting on my ass for like a long time, like a lot of Mexican food, a lot of margaritas.
Oh man.
Wouldn't even need you to. I could just get on myself and probably break it. I could
Paco,
stop Secretariat right now.
Paco Lopez, overweight. I love it. Number 7, Necker Island for Stanley Huff. Benny's boy, Tyler Gaffley, on a board. Coming out of the Unbridled. Benny, your thoughts overall on Necker Island?
He had some sneaky trouble last time, and if you like Flapjack, which I give him an outside look, there's no reason why you should include this one. He had kind of a similar go of it in the Gotham. He's an interesting one underneath. I mean, I'm Captain Obvious on the top ends. I think Maxfield's probably going to win. And another Captain Obvious, it's shameful, but Pneumatic probably the second choice. But if I were looking for underneaths, I would probably be on the 5, 6, and 7. So he would be a use for me underneath vertically.
Nikki, your thoughts on Necker Island?
Yeah, I think if he can figure it out, then he could be dangerous. I didn't use him in here, but I think he's heading in the right path, and with Tyler Gaffleone, I think he'll be there. But if he can figure it out, I think he's one to watch. But I didn't put him in here.
All right, the number 8 Crypto Cash is scratched. The number 9 Shake Some Action coming out of the LA Derby, the same race that New York Traffic was in. It felt like benefited from that hot pace and was able to make a small bid, kind of clunking up and getting a 6th. Nikki, your thoughts on Shake Some Action?
Okay, where did I go? Okay, you skipped the 8. Sorry.
Yep. No,
8
you're
seconds.
good. Yep, you're good.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
Nikki. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just think that in here, he's not really that proven, and with the other horses in here, I didn't use him, but I don't know, he could be dangerous.
Benny, do you have a shirt that says "I will not bet Javier Castellano today"?
Man, I really should. You know what's so funny? I got a funny story about him. So this was at Del Mar at the Breeders' Cup. I can't remember what year it was. 2017, maybe.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the Omar was 2017.
17. Okay, so I was pulling up. I was there obviously pretty early, and I was pulling up, and Javi pulled up next to me. I mean, obviously it had to have been a rental car or something, right? And there's like a jockey parking there that's right across the entrance from the clubhouse. And the dude almost sideswiped me. I didn't know who it was. And I was so pissed. I wanted to like scream at this person, but I didn't. I didn't. I kept going, and I parked, and I got out of my car, and I saw it was Javi, and I just wanted to beat his ass. I'm like, oh, Javi, this is perfect. This is karma. And I think he got me later that day. I think I had a lead in one race, and he ran me up.
Oh man, so he had the last laugh.
Yeah, he did. He did.
The-
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have anything for Shake Some Action?
You know that race, it's only an optional, non-winner one, and it's 9 panels, but it's actually really fast late. If something could happen, this is everything I don't believe in, which is a slow horse that needs help. But if for some reason they were to absolutely fly out of here, I could see him catching a slice. I don't think they're going to do that, and he's just not quick. And it's right-handed hobby, so it's a fade for me. But it's horse racing. It's hard to predict these things sometimes, and if they go a little bit too quick, I think this thing could make some waves late.
Number 10, Maxfield. We talked about him for all the obvious reasons. All three of us are on board with Maxfield. I know Nikki didn't have him on top in her top 2, but did have some glowing things to say. It'll just be interesting to see if Maxfield can come off that break. Obviously this race is not the goal for him, but is ultra talented. And if he moves up at all off of that Breeders' Futurity, he will be tough to beat coming down the lane. Are you guys worried at all about the running style of Maxfield? He's been pretty much out the back out of the first two efforts. Nikki, is that something that concerns you with him?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, that's why I didn't want to put him on top. He has a lot to prove.
Benny, you?
I apologize. What was the question?
Maxfield's running style out the back.
Oh.
Is that of concern to you? Given the
No. I
talent.
think he's fresh. He might be more forward than usual anyway. I mean, there's not too many times you see 59-inch age breezing from the gate. I think he'll probably even show a little bit more speed than he has in the past. So, yeah, not for me. I mean, when you combine that with the price, it's one of the reasons why I'm not playing. It's like I think he's the most logical. I think he's the right horse. I just won't be betting the race. So, I suppose if I were, I might be a little bit worried, but I'm not. So.
Sure. It looks like rain is falling again. There's quite a bit of wetness on the camera. On radar, we're going to be cutting it real close on the next race with an absolute screamer of a downpour. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if they try to accelerate this last post. We do have the 11 and the 12, 11 attachment rate and the 12 major fed. They're going in the gate, or they're going up to the gate. It looks like something is going on with one of the horses, the number 7. They're adjusting. What are you guys' thoughts on the 11 and or 12, Benny?
Well, it's the same race for me, that Gotham, which I think is a fast race and a backup, and he was the closest one out of that race. I landed on the others underneath just because of price only and his draw. He's got what I believe to be a worse draw, so nothing wrong with him at all. It's just price driven, right? So this whole game's about value. The people that play the longer prices in the long run have a better chance. So, I would probably take him over the other two, but at a shorter number, don't care for him. But he's a logical horse underneath. It wouldn't be one that I would stick around with.
Nikki, your thoughts on the 11 attachment rate or the number 12 major fed?
Well, the 11, I wish that Luis Saez was still on him, but he's serving a suspension, so he gets Johnny Velasquez, which isn't bad. But I think I would feel better if Saez was on him. The 12, I mean, he has great breeding. He's sitting on a big race. Spencer chose him, so.
Oh no!
But yeah, I think the 12 is definitely sitting on a huge race, so he could win.
All right. They are loading into the gate. It looks like the 12 is about to go in. What is it? The 4 is getting real squirrely in the gate. Actually, that's going to be the 5 Flapjack, the Calumet horse. Getting
Quick
real.
cancel.
Yeah. All right, and they break, and New York Traffic is going like leisurely to the lead. I'm surprised Paco isn't shoving at all, and now he ends up drifting half the field out. Wow, that was an interesting move there. The 12 major fed taking the absolute worst of it coming into that corner. Celtic Striker, as expected, is on the lead. Pneumatic with Ricardo just hugging that rail. Man, this is a pretty tight knit group up on that on the first grouping there. We had basically a 24 flat for the first quarter. Benny, do you have the run up is there?
I can tell you in about 30 seconds.
Roger.
I just don't want to get off the screen.
Yep. Yeah, no.
The race is playing exactly how we thought it. Celtic Strikers coming out. The 6 and the 2 are right there. Just need the 2 to get there.
Yeah.
It's over. Maxfield's coming over the top. Adios. Oh, someone's lugging out.
Oh no. Who's at the 6?
Yeah. Yeah, he's riding confident on the 10. It's over.
Oh yeah. Yep. 10-6 chill. Well, it's fine.
Well, definitely the three logical players were definitely oh geez, in hand up to the wire. Whoo!
Did you
Yeah,
bury that exacta?
I
That was
did.
all you. You liked it. You liked the winner, and you liked the 6.
Yeah, I did okay with the exacta. I had it pressed more times 6/10 than I did 10/6, but
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Well, let me.
I feel
After
like I
this
got
is
it.
over, I'll send you my address, and you can ship me a bottle of tequila.
Oh man, I feel like I got a little bit of seconditis going on here. I mean, oh man, my top picks are coming in second, left, and right. That's brutal.
Yeah. You're seeing the
The
ball though. That's good.
yeah the 10 Maxfield ended up drifting up to 6-5. New York Traffic ended up at 7-2, and in Pneumatic was 5-2.
Wow.
Interesting race, interesting comebacker for Maxfield. Circled the field and felt like he won kind of going away there. That was an impressive effort.
It was good. Yeah, he was patient and behind and very comfortable and seeing the parking lot out there in the middle of the track, just blowing by everybody. It seemed like do it pretty handily too.
Yeah. It felt like once he got clear coming around the corner, it was all but pretty much over after that. Nikki, did you see anything as far as any trips or anything is concerned with that race?
No, I played exactly how I thought it was going to play. I mean, like I said, you can't leave Maxfield out. I definitely thought the 6 and the 2 were going to be there. They were there. So, no, I played exactly how I thought. And I'm glad, Maxfield was back. So that's good.
Yeah, it's nice to see him come back and definitely is awesome to see him actually win. I feel like we've had kind of a dearth of like, oh, this is the favorite, he's going to win, and horses have came back and just really not performed to what their original thought process was. So that definitely is good to see, no doubt. Checking the weather, we are going to get a little bit wet here coming up into this next race.
Oh, you got to be kidding me! How did they not take this horse down? I'm sorry.
You're watching
my
Gulfstream?
God, you got to be kidding me. Sorry, moving right along. I apologize.
No,
It's
you're
your
good.
show.
Hey,
I'm just living in your world, acting like an idiot. So.
Hey, no, don't worry. I'm trying to pay attention to. There's 2 confirmed tornadoes on the ground in southern Wisconsin.
Wow.
With one basically going right over Beloit at the moment. So that is. I was just kind of paying attention. I have cousins that live in that area, so don't worry. You're not the only one that's distracted, Benny. No worries there. Moving ahead to the next race. Whoa, we have the last race on the turf, presumably. Um, I would be shocked if they don't try to move the post time up, given the rain here. Um, the 100,000 listed stakes war chant mile on the turf feels like there could be a lot of speed in this race. Nikki, what are your overall thoughts on the shape of this race?
Well, I think that it was going to play to the 3 and the 5, which I chose. Yeah, I think it's definitely a speed race, and yeah, I think that it's going to play well for the 3.
Benny, your overall thoughts on the race shape here?
Well, I tend to cheat, so my software has this pace is hot. Doesn't happen very often, so I'm going to lean towards trying to find somebody coming out of the back of the pack. One of the other things too, when this turf course catches rain, and I don't know how much water they've had, but it tends to favor the middle part of the track. Down inside, I don't know if it's because of the drainage and the banking of that turf course or what have you, but when they ran the Breeders' Cup there not long ago, you probably remember everyone that came out in the middle of the track. There were horses that were like oh my God, he was so wide. How did he do that? It's like, well, because that's where there wasn't any moisture and there wasn't as much cut in the track. So given the hot pace scenario that my software predicts and the moisture, I'd be leaning to come from way up.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting given the drainage of the track, because it does feel like when they do receive precipitation, that everything kind of banks to the rail, and you definitely see a lot of standing water even on the rail. So it always has felt disadvantageous to be able to be on the rail. So I completely agree there. Let's stroll on through the field. Looking at the number 1 South Bend, I heard a lot of people who really did like this horse coming in. Your boy, Julian Leperoux, Penny South Street. Your thoughts?
Well, he's drawn inside and Lepa's on. So Lepa plus rail equals loss for me. I will not be. I will be fading. I mean, I'm looking at my numbers right now. Hold please. This last race was a stronger run late, so it was kind of, he was against the flow. And the race 2 back, like if I were to select that race, he's still pretty average, and make it. My numbers have him as a pretty significant long shot. So I would probably lean against. Not probably. I would definitely lean against.
Nikki, are you anti-Leperoux in this race?
No. No, and actually a friend of mine has him as his top pick of the day. So
Ooh.
yeah.
I sense a side bet coming.
I do. I do sense that. I like that. I definitely like that. That was good.
What, you want to bet $1 on this race, Nikki?
We could do that.
All right.
Or
You know what I like to do? I like to bet $2 bills.
well, we could do a Del Margarita at Del Mar when they open for opening day, because I go every year.
Awesome, I'm in.
Okay.
Del Margarita, those are expensive. That's why I'm always smuggling booze into the veranda, because
Oh
literally
man,
they're like $25 for a drink. It's just like, what the hell?
well, you better get that wallet ready. Oh man,
I know. I get to take the rubber band off.
Yeah, that's a lot of $2 bills.
Oh man, when you go to that place, you literally almost have to smuggle in your booze. It's so expensive. Last year I went and I brought home, with the Del Margaritas and those doubles, they give you the cup. And so I came home with like 15 cups.
Oh yeah.
And I got the stare down of all stare downs when I got home. I was like, what? There's like no liquor in these things. And she's like, yeah, I know, but you bring your own booze too. So I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, all right, Del Margarita it is. That's the bet. So I'll have to pick a horse with similar odds.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. What's the price on the one right now? I'm so selfish. I'm watching Gulfstream on my feed, so you have to tell me the odds.
The price on the number 1.
Yeah.
Holy buckets! Take a guess.
I would say a big number.
No, short. Right now, the number 1 is favorite, 5-2.
Who is your friend? Like Roxy Roxborough?
5-2 on the number 1.
So I can take anybody. All right. I'll have to give this one a closer look. I mean, I've been kind of winging it here. I looked at GP and Santa Anita more, so I'll have to give this one a closer look.
Looking at doubles and pick threes, I would fully expect South Bend to be probably 3rd choice.
Okay.
So 3rd or 4th choice. But yeah, the fact that we get the first tick and is 5-2 is pretty wild, to say the least. I definitely wasn't expecting that myself. The number 2.
Nikki, does your father own? Does he own like oil wells or something? What's going on here with the odds on your horse?
Yeah.
She didn't get that. I was suggesting that you bet stacks on this horse, but all right,
not yet. That price has got to drift up a little bit, I'm thinking, because 5-2 feels real short.
Yeah.
Number 2, Bodie Cream, Danny Pish trained. Your thoughts, Nikki?
I didn't use him here. I just didn't like him in this spot. His last couple races, he hasn't been able to really get there. I know he was winning and but I didn't use him here.
Benny South Street, did you apply any body cream?
No, but I do have some. I've got. You know what's funny is I've got a terrible. Both my elbows. I've been sitting for so long on my computer like this. My elbows are hurting, so I do have like a CBD cream I've been putting on my elbows. If that matters for anything, I should get an advertisement with all the. What do we have, like 2.1 million viewers on the Nielsen ratings right now? I should be getting advertised money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm neutral on this one. I think those races are semi-legit. I think this kid's over. He's not a kid, but I think Deshaun's a little out of his league on this circuit. That would be a big negative, but he seems to fire. He was keyed up last time. The rails were 85 feet. It favored closers. I'm not sure if that pace was a meltdown or not. I'm tending to think that it might have been, in which case he kind of just fell into that spot. But he was keyed up, and the race before that at Houston, if I were to chart that race, it actually comes out okay. So interesting, but you gotta the better riders. I focus more on the better riders on the turf course because it's all about decisions and pace, and you can find bad trips far more easily. So the inside too for me. I'm not fans of the jocks, so they'll be passes.
All right, moving on to the number 3 Island Commish. Meteorologist Matthew Shera owns the horse. Benny Soustry, your thoughts? Which, by the way, big shout out Matthew Shera. Let's go.
Yeah, who is he?
He's a meteorologist from Penn State. He does forecasting for stock markets.
Wow. Okay. Big rider upgrade. Paco sees fit to ride this horse again. Just the fact that he's ridden this horse 3 times and he's won all 3 races bodes well. My numbers come up a little bit weak, so it would be a fade for me, but I wouldn't knock anybody or talk anybody off.
When they show the 3 Island Commish, take a look at that lightning bolt right in the middle.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta have the lightning bolt silks. I'm all about it. The number 3 Island Commish, Nikki, your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. He's one of my top picks. I think in his last race, he lost a lot of ground racing at Gulfstream Park, and he should get a better trip this time, being on an inside draw. He's already a grade 3 winner with a cutback of a mountain of 16 from his last race. I think it should help him, so I am all for.
Oh, right. I feel like that almost feels like another Del Margarita going on here. Oh, man.
Hey, you know what? I'm getting my face kicked in today. I've lost stacks. No, I haven't, but I still got to find my one horse. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This is the first time I've looked at this race. So I've got to find something to play against Nikki's rail horse.
Yeah, and currently still 5-2 on the board. Nikki's other pick, Island Commish, 16-1. Hopefully we can get those connected for you guys. Number 4, Vanzi. Michael Pino trains, coming off of a poly effort in the Russia way. Nikki, your thoughts on Vanzi?
I like that Kendrick's still on him, but I didn't pick him here. I didn't think that he could keep up with the rest, so I didn't choose him. But I think that I think he looks good.
Was he not out?
Ooh, was he? He is out. Golly jeepers. You're on top of me, Benny.
I'm not even watching the feed.
Oh, man. Oh.
Hey, I just won a Del Margarita from you.
For me? Oh, man.
I'm playing for house money right now.
Oh, we'll move on to the number 5 Field Pass. Mike Maker, Jose Ortiz, coming from the aptly named Jeff Ruby Stakes, grade 3 event on the poly. We'll turn to you, Benny. What are your thoughts about the Jeff Ruby Stakes and the Field Pass?
I like Field Pass a little bit. I'm kind of trying to take a deeper dive as we look, but just looking at his 2-year-old campaign, it was pretty good. If he's matured, and it looks like that he's still forging between that turf effort at Gulfstream and over the poly at Turfway. Seems to be headed in the right direction. A little bit bummed that Paco's not riding and he's riding the other one back, but Jose is Maker's guy. So it could have been just that he's got first call anyway, and that's why Paco rode the other one. So I think this is going to be my Del Margarita wager, Nikki.
Well, I picked him in my contest. I think Field Pass is improving. Getting Ortiz is a plus. So yeah, I picked him in my contest with Spencer.
So
and
that'll
Spencer
be a good hedge for you, right?
Yeah. Well, I have the 3 and the 5 in this race, and Spencer doesn't. So if my 3 or 5 get in here, then I win.
Who does Spencer have on top in this race?
He has the 6 and the 9.
Who? So
no comment. I can't go there. That's
that was too easy. Too easy.
Come on, Spencer. You're gonna post that in public?
Oh man, I know. He's eating dinner right now. Just a weather update. It is absolutely pouring at Churchill. I do not know why they didn't move post times up. It's the last race. It is going to be interesting to see if they don't do anything with this. I mean, looking at the live feed, it was blacker than black outside.
Yeah.
It's lightning, probably. You said you saw flashes. They're not going to run if they're lightning, right?
There's a lot of lightning in this in the storm that'll be there in about 10 minutes. So they have a very small window, and I do not know if they're going to get this race off before the lightning.
Let me tell you something. This is what we're going to do. This little Benny audible here.
Yeah.
We're going to start a business. Me and you, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a football betting service, and we're going to tout only bad weather games where you go, hey, it's going to rain. Because I told people it's going to rain during the pick 5. I got hate mail like you wouldn't believe. Like, I had one guy threaten me. He's like, how, and I'm like, dude, take it easy. It's just a weather prediction. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start a business. It's going to be a tout business on football picks. We're going to bet every under where you predict bad weather.
I love it. I love it.
Huge.
I'd be interested to see how the statistics kind of line up for that, because who knows how that works. But yeah, I got a lot of people that came at me this morning about the weather saying, oh my gosh, it's not going to rain. Hey, guess what? It's been raining the past 3 races.
We have our spokesperson. Nikki she's going to be the spokesperson.
I'm in. Whatever Benny wants to do, I'm in.
Spencer's in. I mean, we got a team. This is like the dream team right here. Hey, you know what? We could actually have a little fly off of Trip Note Pros. We'll have a tripnoteweather.com for all football games. It's cash stacks, and we'll after this plan B, like when we go to version 2 of like some serious stuff. That's what I've learned. There's like these versions. I don't know nothing about this stuff. That's what my marketing guy calls it. So
my last goal is we just need to get a retweet out that gets Marshall on the Fox Sports show to give out the weather. That's all we have to do.
Oh no, we got to be selfish with his knowledge. Don't share. There's no sharing. It's like getting a great tip. You don't share that. You don't give it out to the masses. So this is what we do. We make tons of money, and then we come up with our own horse racing syndicate. So all of that money, they have like My Racehorse and all this cool stuff. We have like, I don't know, Nikki's Nags or South Street Stable or something.
Del Margarita Racing?
That draws attention. What?
Del Margarita Racing?
There might be some copyright infringement with that, but yeah, I think we're onto something here. This is good stuff.
Oh man, yeah, interesting to see again with the weather. It looks like the rain has basically tapered off a little bit, but it will continue to stay light rain throughout until post time. And I fully expect them to be seeing lightning right now. There are pretty active lightning flashes within a mile, so they definitely should be seeing this. And hopefully they will actually update what the turf course is labeled in a correct and timely manner, because that's something that's a big pet peeve of mine when it comes to racetracks. Is they do not change the track status in a timely manner ever.
You know,
So
it's
yeah,
funny you mentioned that because in my notes that I posted on our site, one of the turf course listings at Gulfstream was fast. And when I watched the replay, it was just getting chewed to bits. There's zero chance that it was a fast turf course. I mean, I suppose that the times may have been okay, so maybe that's what they're looking at. I don't know, but the idea that it was a fast turf course, I mean, it had tons of give and was just getting chewed up. So it's bizarre.
yeah, no doubt there. All right, moving on to the number 6, which was one half of Spencer's top pick.
Yeah.
We'll get to the bottom part of the pick with the number 9 a little bit later. But the 6, Hieronymus, Brad Cox, Sean Bridgman. Nikki, your thoughts on this speedy chestnut?
Well, yeah, he showed up every time. He has great form, and I hope he doesn't win.
Nikki's getting out her voodoo doll on
I am Spencer. Sorry.
And even if Spencer did win this, I still think you are too far ahead.
I don't know. Spencer, where are we? Does he know?
The last text I got, which was before the last, he said that he was down $26 with the last
wow.
2 races. So you've dusted him.
Hope so.
Hieronymus would have to drift up quite a bit, and right now we see Hieronymus at 7-1. Ooh boy, that
that ain't gonna get there.
ooh,
He's gonna need 9-1 or all of 8-1.
Oh, agreed. But drifting up. Your thoughts on Hieronymus?
He's a pro. I can't knock him, but the problem is he's just had soft paces. You know, he's done. I mean, when you catch these soft paces, all you can do is just run through them, right? Which he has. But I do like that race 2 back where he leaves the pack. I love these front runners that run away from the pack. That's huge. Does seem to get over the course with some cut in it, which he did at the fairgrounds. Fairgrounds have some very underrated turf runners there, but the glaring line on this is the one try over the Churchill Downs course with cut in it, and it's a poor effort up the track. So if I were Spencer, I would be pouring myself a good stiff one right now.
No doubt there. Oh man, moving on to the number 7, Bama Breeze broke his maiden closing from way back. I noticed that the speed figure was a little bit light, but it was one of the only races I think that day on the turf at that distance. And I heard from a few other people saying that the speed figure was a little bit suspect and it was hard to kind of make that day. Benny, your overall thoughts on Bama Breeze? And
well, yeah, I hate speed figures.
Currently is 10-1 off that 30-1.
You know what? I'm gonna change. I'm changing. I'm going to Bama Breeze in my Del Margarita head-to-head.
Oh no!
And I'll tell you why. Bama Breeze. This race is a 2-year-old for starters, so tons of upside. He comes back in a race that they believe in, right? So straight to the Wolves. They're dropping him straight into a black type race. That's a big move up for me. It's a big vote of confidence. The work pattern seems to be strong. I was troubled. And when I go through and I look at my last half numbers and sustained pace numbers, this horse is best and second best as a puppy 2-year-old. So as a matter of fact, I will be taking the 7. And as Nikki moves on to talk about this one, and I'm assuming you'll start with her in the 8, I'm going to drop a stack on this one.
Oh boy.
The 7 is what you're going against me with? Okay.
No, yes, I'm taking the 7.
Wow.
Ooh, I love
Let's
it.
go.
Let's go.
Let's go, Landry. That's my goal now.
Is he really though?
No, he's not. He's too patient for me. But hopefully he'll find his way in the middle of the track and that inside part of the track of this turf course will be little quicksandy for me. But
There
no,
you go.
in all seriousness, I'm kind of speaking, like, kind of joking around. Everything that I said is everything that I believe in truly when I'm handicapping. 2-year-old numbers, that's the biggest bump you'll find. I mean, the analogy for me would be like this horse as like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and now he's like 16. You know, by the end of the year, this horse will be 18 or 19. That's kind of my human analogy in terms of the maturity and the possibility for this horse moving up. So I think he will. I'm not sure why they changed the barns, but the fact that this guy's got him first time out and throws him straight into a stake makes me think they've got a lot there. So I will be betting with Nikki, and I will be betting with my own cash. So I'm going to get into my account right now and drop some dough on this one.
Nikki, your thoughts on the Del Margarita Challenge from Benny South Street with the number 7 Bama Breeze?
I don't see it.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, Bama Breeze. And my brother did go to Alabama, so university. So it's a little
Sounds like a good drink name, Bama Breeze. But no, I just don't see what he sees. But yeah, it's a good side wager. I'm in.
Let's do it.
What are your immediate thoughts, Nikki, on the switch from Ben Colbrick to Rusty Arnold?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think it's definitely an upgrade for him. I think he should improve, but this race will help him. But I mean, I would put him in like a virtual stable to watch him down in the future. But he's out of honor code and good breeding. So
Oh no. See, I can't do that.
Ooh,
I can't.
buy honor code.
Okay, thank you. I didn't have to say it. He did. He said that, not me, Nikki.
what did he say?
I don't know. You'll have to correct her again. I didn't do it.
What did you say?
I'm just kidding with you. He said out of honor code, which would be an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie plot. But
Oh, gotcha.
what was that movie where he carries a baby? What was it called?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did he birth said child?
I don't know. It was too disturbing for me to keep watching, so I just buried it.
No, like they didn't explain how the child came out, but at the end of the movie
They
showed.
had it? Okay.
not only do you get
Wow,
the weather,
this show is really falling apart. It's been a couple hours.
Going off the rails.
oh,
Yeah.
not only do you get the weather, not only do you get exact drinks being bet on races, but you get to know about Arnold Schwarzenegger birthing a kid on the movie screen.
Out of honor code.
You will not find that anywhere else. I will guarantee you that.
No, every time I think of honor code, I'm going to think about Arnold Schwarzenegger being pregnant. So thanks.
Oh, I love it.
I'll be here all week. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, the number 8, Liam's Pride, Doug O'Neill, David Cohen. Benny, do you give this one any shot?
You know, that first race in January of the turf course is good. He's certainly got some speed. Not really sure why he's here. You know, Doug's main stable after Oaklawn, I'm assuming went back to California. He must have thought enough of this one to keep him out where you guys are, or in the Midwest. So that part is kind of interesting, but it kind of looks like a pace casualty to me. A little bit too fast. We'll see. This is an unknown at a massive number. I would fiddle around a little bit. What's the number? What do we got here?
For the 850.
Wow, we really did a poor job of getting through the field because they're going in the gate.
I know. Well, when
that's
we're
okay. We got through who we liked anyway. So
when we're talking about Del Margaritas, Spencer 69.
Whoa,
Arnold
so
Arnold Schwarzenegger with birthing a kid. This last race has been an absolute trip.
Hey, when you ask me to do stuff like this is what happens.
There's only one reason why we have you come back. You're the only comebacker, Benny, and that's because of this exact thing.
Let's go. Okay, so we got Bama Breeze is in purple.
Yeah, so
and South Bend, black on the rail.
Yep. So we have Bama Breeze, the number 7 for Benny South Street. We have the number 1 South Bend for Nikki. Let's see who gets a
Okay, now
Del
you don't have to pick the
Margarita.
winner, right? It's just a head-to-head. Who beats
It's
who?
head to head.
Right.
Who's
Who
ever,
gets? Yeah.
All right,
Whoever.
let's go.
Yep.
ahead of
and just oh the gate is a bit stuck on the 8 there.
Yeah, 8 push the gate open.
So real quick, if the 6 wins and Nikki's horse misses the board, I will have won the title. If not, Nikki wins. I'm down $23 right now.
So what if this 6
Oh,
wins? You
23.
win?
If the 6 wins and you don't hit the board with your pick, I might be able to get by you.
6 is tripping out right now. 3 and 9 are hooked. 3 clear.
There you go.
What? He's only 7 to 1, Spencer. Don't you need $26?
I think it's 23. So I mean, but it's win play show, and if her horse misses the board,
Oh, I didn't know it was win play show. Okay.
Yeah.
With Island
Matt
Commish
Shera's horse on the lead there with Island Commish.
on Hieronymus, who's tracking from third. Liam's Pride on inside racing in fourth, half mile to go. Then it's Billy Bats.
Also, a thunderstorm warning was just issued like
Oh,
about
my
2
horse isn't going
miles.
very well. Le Perou's like
Inside eighth. Pixley is
loaded.
ninth. South Bend followed by
come
Shared
on,
Set.
Sean, come
Near the
on.
back, still field pass, and Bodie Cream is at the back. Round the far turn, the battle continues between Smooth Like Straight and Island Commish. They are 6 lengths in front of the top of the stretch.
Le
Island
Perou's begging for a hole. Oh my God, so is Lannery. Get through, you rat.
Commish
Oh, you suck.
gives way back in the second. Late in the scene is Hieronymus trying to get going late. So too is Billy Bats. Center of the track comes
Bama Breeze is just stuck.
Long, and Smooth Like Straight's got a 5-length lead racing for the wire. Smooth Like Straight does it.
Oh, this is a bunch of crap.
Second field pass rallied for third. Then it was Hieronymus and 5 horses in the photo for fifth.
Oh, all right. I'm down like, what are my Del Margaritas are like $84 each.
Spencer, so what happened? Who won?
It would be you.
I did.
You are the queen. You are the champion, le champion.
It says, can you see it? Queen Bee? It's
Yeah.
me.
There you go. Nikki, let's hear a little speech from the champion.
Well, I would like to thank my friends who have helped me give me some pointers and give me some tips whenever I go through a program and I kind of walk them through. I have a friend in the UK who spent a lot of time with me to kind of, go through every race. Like, because if you have some thoughts on horses, it's kind of like just talking through, or if you're at the track and you're like, well, I like this horse. Okay, why do you like them? Well, why don't you like them? And, just having friends to kind of bounce things off of. So my friend in the UK would like to thank. And yeah, it's very exciting because, yeah, you put in a lot of work. I mean, sometimes I put in a lot of work to these and sometimes you just pick them. But yeah, your work pays off and I'm really excited. It's my first year in this tournament, so I'm happy.
Well, it's the first season of the tournament. I'd like to thank Mike Gondola for not beating you in the semifinal. Thanks a lot, Mike. Thanks for getting me killed in the final. I appreciate that.
Oh, love it. And for Del Mar opening day, Benny's going to have to open up that wallet. And Nikki is going to have a big old margarita in
This is
I'll
her.
bring my
total
trophy.
nonsense. I mean,
Hey,
if you
Spencer,
watch
I
that
get a
replay,
trophy, right? Yeah, you have my
That's-
trophy.
You
I got
have
the
my
Breeders' Cup.
trophy.
I sent it to you, Marshall, because I got it from the Breeders' Cup. Now it's coming back to me, full
Yep.
circle.
Yep.
Oh,
so this is the trophy that you should have.
With the
Handicapping
bobblehead?
champion, little
God,
bobble ass.
that.
This is what you need to come up with next year. This thing's a beast. It's actually super heavy, and I'm in COVID shape right now, which my son says circles of shape, so he kind of teases me. And that's what kind of shape I'm in. But this is a beast mode trophy. I had a derby party at my house every year for many years, and it was epic. Maybe I'll get back there one day if I can get permission. It just got a little bit rowdy and out of control. But we would have a handicapping contest, and it was just this perpetual, whoever won this thing got the trophy. So we don't have it. Maybe we'll send it off to you, Spencer, and you can use it.
Absolutely.
Might cost me like $400
I
to
will
ship.
do.
The thing weighs like 900 pounds, but
It'll be good to ship to people. Put it right in their mailbox. Their mailbox will be on the floor.
Oh man, exactly. Well, thank you, Benny South Street. Thank you, Nikki, for coming on and
Thanks for having
yeah,
fun.
big
Kicking
shout out
everyone's ass.
to Brian W. Spencer as well for coming in for a couple races and checking it out. Also would like to thank
I'll be
Spencer.
looking for my tournament, my trophy, Marshall.
Yeah, we'll have to send this baby off.
What is that? That's not a trophy. Come on, get it.
Benny, what would you like from me? I
Oh,
am a
okay, it actually is.
fan
It
from
actually
New
does. It says
York.
the Daily Gallop on there.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
It will
Oh, yeah.
say Nikki too, but that's for to come.
Oh man, yeah. Well, the first time trophies went out, I got it. Nikki had sent it off to me, and now it goes back to
Right back.
The rightful owner.
It goes back to
So-
the rightful owner. No
So
doubt.
last thing before we go, then Benny, I have a question for you. We're one short for the second season. We need a 48th person.
Yeah, you should join, Benny. It's fun.
I have no doubt that it's fun. There's only one problem.
Go ahead.
I'm literally taking notes. It's been like 16 hours a day.
That's fair, and that's why I didn't ask you in the first place. But maybe for season 3 in a couple months.
I would love to. Yeah. Once we get rolling, I've just got to figure out a better way to get the notes done and get them input through some new technology that we're going to be using. But it's a little bit too much right now. But I appreciate the invitation, and I wouldn't want to get my face beat in by you guys anyway.
Oh, listen, I have
No,
JK
but you
in my
guys
division.
by me. No,
Yeah.
no guys.
Yeah,
Me.
you got to realize the gals that we have in the tournament are fierce as can be. So yeah, it's definitely.
I know Nikki earlier was like super aggressive. She's like, "What did you say about the owner?" Well, yeah.
That was good. That was good.
That's fair.
I'll put you in your place.
I kind of just like sloped down in my chair. I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty aggressive."
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. As always, Daily Gallop live stream. Always a fun time. Never a dull